What is up, everyone? My name is Jack Southall, back again with a new video, and today I'm here with something a little different. I thought I'd do a little throwback review. So, what my plan is, I've got a whole heap of reviews set up, hopefully. And I'm going to call them my Cringe-Miss reviews. Now, what these are, I'm going to be reviewing a bunch of old episodes of Raw, SmackDown, Primetime Wrestling, any episode that involves Christmas in it, pretty much. And I review the whole show, just give my thoughts on it, or if I was around when that episode came out, like where I was during Christmas time at that kind of stuff. I want it to be a very casual, kind of fun type of review. So what I've done is I've got about 28 shows set up, and since there's 28 days until Christmas, I've put all the dates in a randomizer, and whatever one the randomizer picks out will be the review I watch and review. So the one it picked out was the SmackDown episode from November the 29th, 2011, but the network says it aired on December the 2nd, which I think was the Friday of that week. This was the SmackDown Holiday Special, and yeah, there was plenty of cringe in this episode. So I remember actually watching this episode when I was I was about 13 when this came out, very young lad, and I watched a little bit of this with my uncle because WWE used to actually air on One, which was one of the stations owned by Channel 10 on our major networks, and the WWE Experience, which is like a 1 hour show just showing the best highlights of the week. A lot of the clips from this episode showed, so I remember watching that with him, and good memories. So yeah, and also 2011 Christmas was sick. It was a sick Christmas for me. But let's just get into the actual show. So we open up with Saint Mick Foley coming out. So he's pretty much the guest host for this episode, I guess, and he wishes everyone a Merry Christmas, even though it's November. Says how much he loves Christmas, which we all know he does. He lives and breathes Christmas, like, constantly. He gets a cheap pop because we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he announces the match card for later on tonight. And he would promise no ho-ho Michael Cole, but instead he has to come out, and he's on commentary tonight, and he's dressed up as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He looks like an idiot. Fucking 2011 Michael Cole, man, just gives me cancer. Like, anytime I see him on my screen, I just want to end it. Like, heel Michael Cole was literally the worst thing ever, and I'm lucky he's a well, not really a babyface, but just like a straight to the point kind of not picking sides dude. Like, he's the main voice of WWE now. I mean, he's still not as good as he can be, but better than nothing, I guess. And he asked Booker T to come out dressed up as Santa Claus because, you know, Christmas, haha. He does a spinneroonie for him while Mick sings a Hanukkah song, and they're all getting down with the Holy Spirit, having fun, until that dastardly Cody Rhodes, who was Intercontinental Champion at the time. I think he just finished his like, he used to wear like that see-through mask thing that used to cover up his face to protect it, but he just got rid of that gimmick, and now he's just back to normal Cody Rhodes. He was Intercontinental Champion at the time, and he was in a feud with Booker T, and he says that, oh, you're nothing more than a lonely, washed-up announcer who just makes a fool out of himself. And Booker says, look, man, I have no beef with you, but I can still go on the ring. And Cody says, you know what, I think you're lying. You do have beef with me because, yeah, you're a lonely announcer and you can never call yourself champion again. Holds up the Intercontinental title. And then Mick Foley makes a match between Cody Rhodes and Booker T for later tonight, which we'll talk about later on because there's something in the show that happens. But he announces the first match of the night, which is a Mistletoe on a pole match. I'm sure Vince Russo just got a stiffy just hearing me say those words. And so It was a just bunch of divas from that time period, and the winner will get to cash in on something. Ooh, wonder what it could be. In the match was the Bella Twins, AJ, Kaitlyn, Natalya, Rosa, Mendes. I mean, star-studded cast here. Aksana, Tamina, and Alicia Fox. This match was absolute cock sauce. It was like under a minute. It was a clusterfuck of a match. Brie Bella steps over Nikki to grab the mistletoe on a pole. She wins the match. Paul announces, "Hey, look, the cash in wasn't for a Divas title shot. It was to kiss a superstar on the roster." So that match meant absolutely fucking nothing. And yeah, great big waste of time. You gotta love SmackDown 2011, man. And then we get to Justin Gabriel versus future WWE champion Jinder Mahal. Before he became the modern day Maharaja, he was a lower mid-card talent. And he still should be because, yeah, why the fuck did we give him the WWE title? Just why? But then Jinder cuts a promo saying, "Oh, Christmas is shit and Indy is better and all that." So pretty much his gimmick hasn't really changed that much if you really think about it. At the start of the match, Jinder worked on Justin Gabriel throughout the majority of this, but I think because he was in a feud with Ted DiBiase at the time, yeah, remember Ted DiBiase's son when he was in WWE? He comes out with a big sack of goodies to distract Jinder, and he gives people a bunch of Mattel WWE toys. He throws one at Jinder, but then he swats it away. However, Justin Gabriel capitalizes on him being distracted. He hits a 450 splash to get the victory. And then throughout the night, we saw Mick Foley hosting a Christmas party. There were Usos, Trent Beretta, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Maxine, aka Katrina from Lucha Underground, Hornswoggle, who plays a major part in this episode, unfortunately. Dusty Rhodes shows up, Goldust, everyone's there. And then David Otunga, being the party pooper that he is, has to show up and try to shut the whole party down because John Laurinaitis asked him to. And Mick says, "Well, I know you're a legal man and all that, you're a lawyer and all that, but legally you are a SmackDown talent," since this was when the brand split started to die out pretty much, and decides to put him in a Miracle on 34th Street fight against Randy Orton. So that'll be taking place later tonight. Yeah, David Otunga, man. What happened to him? What happened to him? He seemed, I remember during this time period, David Otunga looked like he was getting a pretty decent push. I mean, he was John Laurinaitis' left-hand man. He had the whole lawyer gimmick, which I wasn't 100% thrilled about. It wasn't my favorite gimmick ever. But he ended up being just an announcer on SmackDown like a couple of years later. And then has he gotten released? Did he get released? I don't know. Who fucking cares? After that, we got a vignette from Kane's return. He ended up returning a few weeks later on the Slammy Awards edition of Monday Night Raw when he came back with the fruit roll-up mask and chokeslammed John Cena and started that piece of shit feud, which pretty much destroyed Zack Ryder's career. Good times, good times. We get something showing Raw 2 weeks ago. More build up between the Cody Rhodes Booker T match, where Cody threw some water onto Booker while he was on the announce table, and he walks away like the smug prick that he is. And then Michael Cole, he's fucking hate Michael Cole during this time period. He pretty much sucks Cody Rhodes' dick and says, "Oh, I'm an unbiased commentator and I'm sure Cody's going to beat Booker here tonight." And then they do show some footage from the WWE 12 video game, since that was the game being released at this time. I actually got that game for Christmas that year, and that was the Christmas present I was most excited about all year. I'm like, if I don't get WWE 12, I'm going to fucking flip a chair or something. But I ended up getting it, which was cool. And I also got a Mad Gear Pro scooter. How fucking sick is that? I was a cool kid back in the day, man. But it showed just the match between Cody Rhodes and Booker T, and Cody beating Booker. He then gets interviewed backstage by Matt Striker and all that, until he gets attacked from behind by Cody Rhodes, cancelling the match altogether. Well, postponing. It would end up happening on the Tables, Ladders and Chairs pay-per-view, where I'm pretty sure Cody just beat the shit out of Booker, and that's where that funny meme of like Booker T's eyes just like balling out of his head just came up, which Gotta love that photo. It's so funny. We then get a match between Tyson Kidd and Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston at this time was one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions with Evan Bourne. Remember Air Boom? That was a cool team. I actually kind of dig that team. It was a bit thrown together, but it kind of made sense. They were both high flyers, so I couldn't really complain there. And Tyson Kidd, man, I forgot how talented he was. Such a shame he had to retire because, man, like this was a really fun match to watch. For as short as it was pretty fun to see. Kofi Kingston walks over to Michael Cole and takes his antler hat off him. That was part of his reindeer costume. And he puts it on his own head. He goes for a crossbody from the top rope and wins the match. So, yeah, that happened. We go back to the Christmas party. And Hornswoggle, Sheamus, Teddy Long is there, and Sheamus talks to Teddy Long and asks him, what the hell is this All I Want for Christmas Battle Royal about? Teddy doesn't know, even though he's the general manager of SmackDown, but he says, oh, that's Mick Foley's thing, player, holla. But then Aksana shows up and flirts with him because during this late 2011, early 2012 bit, Aksana was trying to get into Teddy Long's pants for some reason. I don't know why. It's just weird. And like the thing was, anytime she'd show up on screen, this like sexual jazz music starts playing in the background. It's so weird. And what was even weirder, she's like holding up a mistletoe, and you're thinking, oh, they're gonna kiss under it. No, she takes one of the leaves off it and starts eating it for no reason. It was so stupid. We then get a Miracle on 34th Street fight between Randy Orton and David Otunga, the A-list himself. And this whole match was pretty much just Orton throwing Otunga into Christmas trees, putting a wreath over his head. He just yelled, ho, 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 and just threw him into the steel steps. He took a cookie sheet, ate one of the cookies. He enjoyed the cookies, like, oh, not bad, and smacks him over the head with it. He grabs a Singapore candy cane and whacks him with him. And then all of a sudden, Wade Barrett shows up, as they were in a feud at the time, and just attacks him from behind, throws him back in the ring so Otunga can capitalize. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Orton ends up hitting the RKO to get the win. And you know what? It was a stupid but fun match, I will say. It was a bit silly with all the Christmassy stuff. I mean, the whole set was just decked out in Christmas stuff. It was ridiculous, but you know what? It was a fun match. I can't really complain that much. We see Mark Henry in the locker room getting ready for his match against Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight title inside of a steel cage. Teddy Long shows up and Mark pretty much says to him, look, I wouldn't be in this match if it wasn't for you, Teddy, and if it wasn't for the Big Show, my foot would have been hurting because at Survivor Series a few days prior, Big Show, Mark Henry had a match for the World Heavyweight title, and after the match, Big Show put Mark Henry's leg into the chair and stomped on it, or like hit it with another steel chair, ended up hurting his foot because Mark Henry did the same thing to Big Show at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, putting him out on the shelf for a while, so that was a nice bit of payback from Big Show. And he says he's in the mood for gift giving, and his gift will be a beating to Daniel Bryan. So scary Mark Henry right there. I mean, how good was Mark Henry's reign as World Heavyweight Champion? I loved him during the Hall of Pain era of his career. That's when I thought Mark Henry was at his best. We then get to the 20-man All I Want for Christmas Battle Royal, which is pretty much filled with like a bunch of jobbers. It's basically a who's that of wrestlers, to quote OSW Review. Sheamus was pretty much the only semi-main eventer in that match. So everyone starts getting eliminated and all that shit. And it leads to the final 5, or technically 6, since Hornswoggle was underneath the ring the entire match. So Tyler X, Heath Slater, Jinder Mahal, and Hunico drag Sheamus out of the ring and beat him up for a bit on the outside. And then they realize, oh, so let's grab Hornswoggle underneath the ring. So they grab him out and they get ready. They bully him for a bit. They beat him up, and it looks like they're ready to eliminate him until Sheamus comes out. And until Sheamus comes back into the ring, cleans house, and it's down to Sheamus and Hornswoggle. And Sheamus just keeps telling Hornswoggle, get out, fella, get out, and all that shit. But Hornswoggle's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to win a match, mate. And so he picks up Hornswoggle and tries to throw him over the top rope, but he is like, his whole body is holding onto that top rope. So Sheamus is like, fuck this. So he does the dumbest thing ever, walks out of the ring onto the apron. Hornswoggle kicks him in the shin. Sheamus falls off, gets eliminated, and Hornswoggle wins the Battle Royal. What? Oh, are you fucking kidding me? This moment is just as bad as when we found out he was the anonymous Raw General Manager. Like, he eliminates Sheamus, who was one of the top guys on SmackDown at the time, and he eliminates him? What the fuck? That was stupid. That was a stupid match. Why did Hornswoggle win? I've got no idea. But we find out backstage, meanwhile, back at the Christmas party, Hornswoggle shows up to Saint Mick, who's dressed up as Santa and is playing as Santa. And Hornswoggle's like, and Hornswoggle's trying to speak, but he can't. So Sheamus says to him, I think he wants the ability to talk, fella, and all that stuff. Which he gives him a hug, and now he has the ability to talk. So congratulations, Hornswoggle, you fucking moved up in the world. And one thing I did find funny was Mick Foley shows up dressed in his Cactus Jack shirt, dressed as normal, and he goes, what did I miss, guys? And because Roddy Piper and Dusty Rhodes was there at the party, they were drinking eggnog and they stopped drinking. As soon as they see that, and they're like, nah, fuck this, man, I'm leaving. So, although seeing Piper and Dusty Rhodes together kind of made me sad as they both passed away in 2015, you know, it was nice to see them again. I mean, Piper and Dusty are legends anyway. We get ready for the main event, which is a steel cage match for the World Heavyweight title between Mark Henry and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was the Money in the Bank holder for SmackDown at that time. And while he was preparing for his match, AJ Lee shows up, wishing him good luck and gives him a kiss. So this would have been like the first seeds planted for AJ's crazy gimmick to start. I mean, she wasn't crazy at this point, but until Bryan breaks up with her, that's when she starts acting all loco and weird. So, yeah, pre-crazy AJ. It was quite weird to see. Matt Striker then shows up backstage to ask him about, how are you feeling about this match? It's the biggest match of your career. And he says, no matter how big the opponent, sooner or later, everybody taps, because that was his t-shirt at the time. So main event time happens. And what I like about this match is that Bryan was smart, because he immediately ran up the cage to get the victory. Then Henry stopped him, and Mark kept selling his foot the entire match, and Bryan just kept aiming it. So I did like the psychology in this. It was good psychology for Bryan to aim at the bad foot of Mark Henry. He put him in an ankle lock during the end of the match, close to the end of the match, and so he goes to climb out of the cage, and he's almost got there, but Mark Henry pulls him out, hits the world's strongest slam from the top rope, and retains the World Heavyweight title, and that's how we end the show. Overall, this episode of SmackDown, it was a very cheesy, dumb episode, but it was also kind of fun as well. The Divas Mistletoe on a pole match was fucking retarded, but the main event was fine. I did enjoy the Miracle on 34th Street fight. I thought that was stupid fun action, and yeah, this was a weird episode of SmackDown, and I'm sure this is going to kick off Cringemas in a great way. So, yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this little review. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment down below if you've seen this episode before, what you thought of it, or what did you get for Christmas in 2011? I don't know, just leave a comment about something. And if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. Twitter and Instagram is at JacklemanLaw31 if you want to check me out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm out in 3, 2, 1.